Well, hello, amazing, gorgeous you. I am so happy to be with you. Oh, I love you. That's why we do this because we love you. We really do. And I am so grateful to be here with you. I'm also so grateful that I have these wonderful girlfriends showing up with me. Today we have Dr. Laurel Shaler. Woo! The crowd goes wild. Laurel, Dr. Laurel, I am so happy to have you. I don't know if I told you this, but your talk in the World Women's Wholeness Summit was really very popular. It got a lot of views. And I don't think I've updated everyone, and I probably need to update all our speakers, but I feel like I've communicated with you guys too much. I don't want to over communicate, which is definitely my downfall. But we have uh, over we've reached over 275,000 people in over 112 countries with the summit, with the first run and the second run. We have so many testimonies, well over 1,000 testimonies, and it's just so exciting. So yeah, so welcome. Hey honey, I can't hear her. Do you hear her? Yeah. Welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you today. You don't hear her?
No,
All
I
right,
do
hold
not.
tight. Hold tight because we don't hear you. And I'll
Try
just,
that
oh, you
again.
know what? I wanted
Keep
to,
going.
all right. And also wanted to turn on Instagram for the Instagram peeps. Hey, hi Twitter, by the way. Hi YouTube and hi
Try that again.
LinkedIn. So, all right, let's say something. Let's see if we have your sound this time.
No.
We don't know what happened, but we are going to fix it. So
Can you hear me
while
now?
Tim,
Now we can hear you.
now we can, hello.
I think I had a finger slip onto the mic. So I'm so
Oh.
sorry about that. I'm here. I was like over here cheering about the summit and the reach and the testimonies, and you guys didn't even hear me celebrating. So I'm so sorry. I
Oh.
literally think my finger slipped onto this button and then I just realized it. I'm so sorry.
So, okay. So during this pestilence that we're going through, be careful about what your digits are doing. So many lessons, right? So many lessons. What do I do with my hands? Well, we got to be aware of where the microphones are, right? So
Yes.
many of us are in lots of Zoom meetings. Okay, so one of the reasons I wanted to have Dr. Shaler with us is because she has young children. No, which is a completely different experience from having older children. My 18-year-old actually asked me yesterday, Mom, I'm bored. Can you give me some chores? What?
Wow.
Yeah. He's like really liking doing dinner together because it brings some structure to his day. So that's really interesting how
Yeah.
it's impacting him. But Dr. Shaler, you love Jesus, and you
Yes.
also are a mental
Yes.
health clinician and a mommy of little children. So I wanted to see how this this COVID-19 crisis we're going through is impacting you. And before you answer that, I want to ask you guys who are listening, I want you to go and share this with your friends. Anyone
Mm.
who is being impacted, has little kids, is afraid, is sick, any of that, share to your friends. And I also want you to participate in the comments because we are one big community. We do this to you because we want to be together with you. We want to share this time with you. And so I do want you to comment and I want you to share this with maybe three friends if you have three people you can think of, and share it to your timelines. All right, Dr. Shaler, tell
Yes,
us
yes.
what has been
Yes.
going on at your house with little kids.
So things have been kind of wild, all of a sudden. Um, my husband and I've been working from home for several years, but I've always had childcare. Our children are very young, but we've had childcare throughout their lives. And now all of a sudden we have no childcare. So we both still have to work. He still has to leave the home to work. I still have to work from home. So we're managing, trying to take care of the children and work at the same time. So it can be chaotic at times.
Yeah. So I think you might know that I own a large practice in Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina, and we have about a staff of 15. And some of our clinicians have young kids, and so they're moving from doing teletherapy like in the spare bedroom. Some of them do go into the office, but we're not seeing clients in the office. And so I do let them do teletherapy from the office, but I'm not letting them see clients face to face. Anyway, but the ones that are home with young kids, it's really tough. And we're finding that we need to be there for others while we're having our own feelings. So I do want you guys to know
Mm.
psychologists have feelings, I have cabin fever so bad.
Yeah, I think it's so important that everyone know that regardless of, what their life was like before all this, like it's normal, typical, it's even okay to have tough moments and like, all these different feelings. And in fact, at the beginning of the call, we realized that my mic was off, and I might have been when I heard one of my children. And so I quick turned it off and turned it back on, but I must have slipped my finger back onto it. But those types of things happen, and it's because things are just kind of out of sync. And I know I'm thankful I'm able to, have some time where I'm not responsible for them. But I also recognize that there are people in all different life circumstances, and whether people are trying to, now all of a sudden homeschool, many of those people are also working from home while homeschooling. All, runs all the way to the gamut of the person who lives alone. A friend of mine celebrated their birthday in a different state, all by themselves at home. So there's people in all different circumstances, and it's just not easy. But I think one of the things as a mental health professional that I'm trying to focus on for myself and trying to relate to others is that, like, it's okay to feel the stress, but we don't have to stay stuck there. We might even feel the stress numerous times every day, but we don't have to stay stuck in this cycle of feeling overwhelmed throughout this whole time, because we don't even know how long this is going to last. And if we focus on the negative, then it will be more painful and it will seem to go much slower.
I find that in my own house, I am more susceptible to picking up other people's stress and then reacting to that. And I do want to say something because I'm along these lines because I work with my clients a lot on this. We got to be so careful about our communication right now. I mean, having said that, I can think of one big failure I had today where I was impatient with my husband and then I apologized. And so if you blow it, hello, welcome to the club, and just apologize. But we have these mirror neurons, and we also have amygdala. Our amygdala is always scanning for threat, always looking for where someone can feel a little threatening. So if someone feels agitated, our amygdala are like, alert, alert, alert. And then we want to get defensive or critical or impatient. And so we really need to do a good job of soothing our nervous system and helping
Mm.
to soothe other nervous systems around us and really be intentional about that. And I really feel like the Lord is helping us to go deeper in our love walks during this time and really getting to know each other more deeply. And I feel like He's working on the M's, like our manners, our manhood and our womanhood, our motivations, oh, I forget. I had a couple more earlier today, but I think He's working on our character.
Well, I think so too. And I also think he's giving us an opportunity to realize what our priorities are and what they should be. What are we missing right now that we've realized that had way too much of our time and attention? I think especially if people are complaining about all the time they're spending at home with their family, that can be a little bit concerning. So what aspect of the relationship is making it challenging, and how can you use this time to work through those challenges and to reclaim those relationships so that they're how they're supposed to be? And it's perfectly okay to take breaks. I have taken lots of walks around my neighborhood over the last few weeks, sometimes 3 a day. You'd think I'd have lost all this weight, but that hadn't happened yet. Maybe a few more weeks of this and it will. But I am taking the walks because I just need to get some fresh air. I need to get some time away. Sometimes I put one of the kids in a stroller and take them out. Sometimes I go by myself. Sometimes I just go in my room for, 15, 20 minutes and just drink some water and just chill out. And we all need those times. And if at all possible, make space for yourself and for the other people in your home to have those times where they can be alone, that then come back together. But I also think for me, it's just refreshed my motivation to spend more time with the Lord, to dive deeper into the Bible and to pray more and to listen to worship music, just to do these things that keep my relationship close to the Lord, keep it fresh. It's like a fire. If you don't fuel it, it's going to burn out. So I've got to keep fueling that relationship. So those are some of the things that I'm trying to do.
Dr. Laurel Shaler, you are unfailingly a skilled teacher. I love listening to you because you can, even in just conversing with you, the gift of teaching in you is so strong. I mean, God has put an incredible gift of teaching in you. Like, you don't even prepare and you talk like a teacher. It is so amazing. I love to hear you talk. Hey, did you, by the way, just real quick, did you share to your followers?
I did. I've got
Yes.
this going on Facebook. So hi everybody on Facebook.
Hi,
hope you're here
Dr.
joining
Laurel
us.
Shaler's friends. Hi, and this is the first time we've been live on Twitter and on LinkedIn. Hi, Twitter. Hi, LinkedIn. So glad to be with you guys.
So awesome. Reaching a lot of people in a lot of different ways. That's important right now. We all need this connection. In
So
fact, I've
important.
even noticed that there are people who have identified as introverts who are realizing that maybe I did need connection with other people more than I thought.
Yeah.
So that's been I think that's been an interesting journey for some people.
Yes, I do agree that introverts have, it's been a little easier on most of them. I've really been praying for people that are in uh, difficult marriages or abusive
Yeah.
situations. Just makes me want to
Mm.
cry even thinking about it, It's hard. Anyway, we're praying for
Yeah, it's
you.
so tough. It's so tough. And they say there's this complex issue where the numbers of reports of child abuse in many areas have decreased because they don't have the reporters, the mandatory reporters. Typically, it's the teachers that are reporting. And yet there's also research that shows that the actual abuse goes up during times like this. So it's a time that we really have to commit to praying, for people, for couples, for families, for parent and child relationships, and to touch base with people. Just because we can't go and hug their neck doesn't mean we can't communicate with them. Let's call them, let's text, let's email, let's send handwritten notes, let's do things to communicate with people. I've seen some really lovely things that people have done. I'll share one example. A friend that was diagnosed with a serious illness, a group of her friends came to her street, in their cars, and they all joined her for a worship song. And I just thought that was amazing that they would do that. So there are things that we can do to support each other and to come around each other and encourage one another, even in the midst of this difficulty. And that can help take the edge off, right? Because that gets our mood up, elevated, and then we're less likely to have that stress overload that we might take out on somebody else. So I think it's really important.
Here's what I want you guys to do in the comments. I want you to write out what you're doing that's helping you, because we want to help each
Mm.
other right now. What Dr. Shaler just talked about, and thank you, Dr. Shaler, you just talked about what's like in the DBT distraction technique called accepts. It's an acronym. The C is for contribution. And one of the ways to deal with distress in our own self is to look at what we can do for other people. We know when we get our focus off self, it lifts our mood. Like, I know there have been times where I've been depressed. I've been depressed off and on plenty of times in my life, mostly because of the trauma I went through earlier in life, sometimes because of
Mm.
loss. But you're depressed, and then you go out and you spend some time where you're doing something for someone else, and then you realize, I feel great. And then afterwards you come
Yes.
back home, and then suddenly you feel down again because my focus got back on me. So contributing doing something for others is really good. And in that, meaning making is an important strategy for dealing with crisis or feeling out of control, like a lack of control. When we are in my training for addressing uh, like 9/11 kind of situations or COVID-19 kind of situations where you can feel this acute sense of powerlessness, one of the things you want to do, there's a couple of them, but one of the things is you want to help people find a way to give back. And so I've had clients who were really afraid of this coming on find a way to be part of the solution, whether it be helping to get medical equipment going, or there are lots of different things we can do. And we feel so much better because we're finding something we can do to take action. So let's see what people are saying here. Someone said, hello, I'm late. It's okay that you're late. We're so glad you're here. So let
Yes,
us know,
better
guys.
late
We
than
want to see.
never.
Yes, we want to see. We want to hear what you guys are doing that's helping you. In the meanwhile, Dr. Shaler, after I had my first live birth, because I had a miscarriage beforehand, but after I had my first son, I he was born December 24th, and so I stayed home for a while. There's a lot of germs you're trying to avoid that time of year, and it was fine. I was finally ready. Felt like, okay, it's time to get out of the house. And then we got this blizzard. It was like 20 years ago in North Carolina. It was a huge blizzard, like huge, like feet, like over it in some parts of around my house. There were feet because you get these
Wow.
snow drifts. I mean, it was huge. And I was like, now I love snow, but this time I was like, you've got to be kidding me, because I'm going to be stuck in my house for weeks. Because in North Carolina, we don't do that kind of snow. Everything stops. And so I'm thinking about people at home with young children and the importance of keeping your mood up, structuring your day. And maybe you could give us some tips on some of the things you're doing to structure things for your kids.
Yeah, that would be great to share about. So again, my children are very young, so it's not quite the same way as it might be for elementary, middle, high school students who have to have more time focused on their schoolwork. But we try and do certain things every day, even if it's not in the exact same order. But one thing, if we are able to get outside at all, we get outside every single day. We're using our backyard actually more probably than we have in a long time, because our daughter, she's only 3 and she needs to be able to run around and get her energy out. And we throw the frisbee and we throw balls and we swing in the hammock. So getting outside is something that's been really, really important for us. We also have her do some type of activity, but not a high pressure learning activity, but like an alphabet puzzle or something like that, where she is still learning, but where she doesn't feel this sense of pressure. I don't want her to wind up getting frustrated because of that. So those are two things that we do every day. And then we also allow her time, and everybody has a different opinion on, TV, and we're always, limited TV for her, but we're allowing her to have just a little bit of that as something to kind of look forward to and to kind of give her some time. And then the other thing, like this morning, we dropped a gift off for a little friend's birthday. So of course we couldn't go in the house, we couldn't hug, but she could stay in the car and wave at her friend and sing her happy birthday. So we want to stay connected, even at her age, with our friends. We have this great opportunity to still stay connected. And I'm thinking about also the fact of what we're doing right now, the internet. We talked about some other ways to stay connected with people that but the internet has strengths, it has weaknesses. Right now we can really see the strengths of being able to connect with one another using these different platforms. So we do FaceTime with my family. We've started something where my parents and my sisters and my nephews and brothers-in-law, the whole family, every night at 7:30, we are getting together for a FaceTime call. So that's something that is so meaningful for all of us, and my daughter loves that as well.
That's really good. I found when I was home with my kids, I love to be like the summer camp mom, and I mean, as far as making a summer camp for my own kids, and so I found structuring the day and doing things the same round about the same time every day, like time blocking, So for example, we would get up, we would have breakfast, then we would go out every day to do something. Now with our kids now, it would have to be where, we're going to practice physical distancing, but go out for a walk or something. So they knew they were going to go out, and then we would do some kind of worksheet, or no, then lunch, and then some kind of learning activity, then quiet time because we had some napping, some not. And then I would have free time in the afternoon. And by then they were glad to have free time because I had kind of controlled their morning. And that kept away the I'm bored, what should I do? Because
Mm.
they were looking forward to it. And then dinner, and then some kind of like a movie or something at night. So I do think time blocking and doing some things the same time every day is really helpful for kids. I know for me, yeah, we have some good ideas here. I play Zoom games with my daughter. The internet has helped me with connection. I can't get out physically. Okay, and then there was another one that did prayer groups online. Internet has helped with connection. Yeah, so I think we're all finding internet. People fall in love online. And the research is
Mhm.
really clear that teletherapy works. And in therapy, for it to work, the connection with your therapist is so important. So if people fall in love and people get healed in therapy online, then we can definitely connect with others. So we
Yes,
definitely.
and also the church. I mean, the church coming together online right now
Mhm.
and finding churches using technology to connect with one another, whether it's on Facebook or through some other type of platform, has been really outstanding. And there are people who are joining in on church services that maybe have not been attending, or maybe it's been a while since they've been to church. And now here they are attending church and hearing the word of God and being able to join in with other people worshiping the Lord together
Mhm.
online. So I think it's just a beautiful thing.
Yes, and maybe someone watching is thinking, this is all foreign to me. I am not a churchgoer. What is this Jesus? And I want to tell you, I've been in your shoes. In fact, before I got saved, before I became a Christian, came to know Jesus, I was open to anything but Jesus. And I
Mm.
ultimately did surrender my life to him. So if you are interested in that, you can just pray, Lord, I know that you died for my sins, and I know that I am a sinner because we all sin. Like, no one had to teach me to lie. And boy, I did a lot worse sins than lying. Come into my life, and I give you my heart, I give you my life, and I call you my Lord. And it's as simple as that. It's a life commitment, but it's as simple as that because we're saved by grace through faith. And you can
Mm.
email me at drbarbara@drbarbalow.com if you want more information on that. Dr. Shaler, you have a book that probably could be very useful to people right now. Can you tell us a little bit about your book? Because people are getting on people's last quarantine nerves.
Yes, yes. And yeah, I'll share about a couple of things. So this is Relational Reset, Unlearning the Habits That Hold You Back. And I
Mhm.
do think it's a good time to consider what habits you are bringing into your relationships. And in fact, I think during so much extra time together, they're probably, like, yeah, like a flashing neon sign, right? Like it's happening more and more, and you see these bad habits, or they're being revealed to you through somebody else that you're quarantined with. So I think looking at your relationship patterns and what's going on, things like if you're finding that you're, blaming, for example, I think that's one that we might be doing a fair amount of during this time together. So just thinking through, how are we interacting with the people that we're in these living quarters with for several weeks, or who knows how long at a time. So that's Relational Reset. And I also, if you don't mind me just saying something real quick, I read another book called Reclaiming Sanity, Hope and Healing for Trauma, Stress, and Overwhelming Life Events. And I think that that's another aspect that people really need to think through, that this is stressful. It is overwhelming. And in fact, many people are being traumatized by what's happening There are people who are experiencing severe illness. Some recover, some don't. People are losing loved ones. I don't know about you, Dr. Barber, but I mean, I have personally known people that have the coronavirus. Some are recovering, have recovered, some are still recovering. But we're going to, see that more and more. We're going to experience that. So there's great loss. And I think that there's this balance during this time between recognizing and lamenting and grieving, and then also doing the things that we need to do to keep our spirits up. I think of laughter. Laughter is great medicine, things that we can do to keep our mood elevated so that we don't wind up finding ourselves overly anxious or depressed. So it's that balance that we're experiencing, but just recognizing that this is a very stressful time for a lot of people. And it impacts us personally, and it impacts our relationships. So I hope both of those books would be good resources. In fact, the Amazon app, both can be read for free. And I've seen sales for both of those books over the last few weeks. So I hope it will be helpful to folks.
Do you have a website where they can buy them? Because I like for people to buy from authors' websites, because then authors get more of the proceeds.
And I do have a website. It's drlaurelshaler.com.
Hey, my husband and I never blame each other. Just kidding. That's one of our, I love how EFT, Sue Johnson talks about demon dialogues. Interesting, because we're Christians, and it is a demon dialogue. Anyway, we do get into blaming. Why do you think we do that? Not me
think,
and my
first
husband,
of all,
but people in general.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I knew what you meant. I was going to talk about people in general, not specifics. I think it's so hard for us to take personal responsibility. We want others to see us as somebody who doesn't have any flaws. It's just hard for us to admit our weaknesses. And even if it's in these close quarters with maybe one or two or three, however many family members are in your household, we still don't want to accept the responsibility. We still don't want to be the one to be blamed. We don't want it to be our fault. So we have to shift that to someone else because we struggle with taking responsibility. And I think the root of this, because I think a root of a lot of things is insecurity. Okay, well, if I admit that I have these flaws or these weaknesses or made these mistakes, then you're going to think worse of me, or you're going to think that I'm not worthy of your love or your time or your attention. So we displace that so that we could still be this person that's good enough.
Yeah, I know we need to move on to prayer because I want to respect your time, but I also had the thought when we were talking, because I do tend to go back to psychological reasons and traumas and insecurities. But right after Adam and Eve sinned, they were blaming, right? And so it's something,
Right.
that is right there. We have like this, this shame that came right in right after sin. And Jesus died so we don't have to live in that. That's for sure. Well, I would love for us, I want to respect your time, so maybe a shorter prayer, but for those of you who are on and feel like you want a longer, lengthier prayer, we will also be on tomorrow night with, let's see, is tomorrow Georgia Schaefer? I'll be on tomorrow night at the same time, and every night at the same time for the next week. So we'll be praying every night for you. I know Georgia Schaefer's coming up, Mia Wright's coming up, and other people. And then there's one night where you get me all to yourself. So I'll be taking prayer requests and praying with you. All right, let's pray, and then I'm going to let you go to be with your family. But thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
You want to start and I'll finish?
Sure. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this time together. Lord, we're so thankful for this technology that allows us to stay connected. You've known from the beginning of time that this time in our lives would happen right here and right now. And you've paved the way for us to be connected. So thank you for that connection. I do pray for those that are suffering and struggling as a result. We know that there's a lot of lessons that we can learn during this time. So I pray that you will help us to learn those and to implement those in our lives. But Lord, I also pray for those that are hurting emotionally, financially, spiritually, Lord, and even physically. I pray that you will end this coronavirus and that you will just help us to turn back to you, Lord, and we'll give you all the thanks. For it's in the name of Jesus I ask these things.
I thank you, Lord. And I just sense that there's someone that you are longing to know that you are loved. And I really believe the Lord is saying, you are so loved and I am taking care of you. And it's almost like your eyes have had like this film on them, kind of like for those of you who are familiar with the story of Apostle Paul before he became Paul. It's like you have some film on your eyes and the Lord's wanting to wash that away and wash off your face and look at you and take your face like this and say, you are so loved, that you are so loved and lovable. There's someone out there that feels so alone right now, and the Lord is saying, you're not alone, I'm with you. And I pray for that person to be filled with your spirit in a fresh way right now and baptized in your love in a new way. I pray that for you. You are not alone. And Dr. Shaler and I are with you even now, caring about you, loving you. You're with us and you're in my heart. And we really do love you. And God has put us here with skin on to tell you we love you and you're loved. Thank you so much, Dr. Shaler, for being with us. If you guys have
Thank you.
specific prayer requests, you can email me. Make sure that you are following me on all my channels, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Also, the Whole Life Podcast show is on iTunes. And make sure you're on my email list to get my notifications at drbarbaralow.com. Thank you again, my precious friend. And thank you, all you precious, precious souls that spend this time with us. You really are loved. And I want you to know you belong here for real.
Yes.
For real. Okay.
Thank you so much.